Hey there, alright, so I'm making this special video for you, and I don't usually make this kind of videos for people anymore, okay? But I'm making it special for you because I can see your passion and your desire in learning more about magic, more about decks, and I don't want you to be spending so much money on things that kind of like you buy it and then you can't really use it, okay? So I want you to get something that really is good, and I want you to really spend your money and really be happy with what you have, instead of having a whole bunch of everything that is actually not very useful and not very good for you. Now I've got a lot of decks here, okay? I've got like stacks of them. Let me just show you some stacks of them, okay? And these are all individual decks. But today I'm going to show you only the top 3 magic decks and probably one Cardistry deck, so you can have a general idea of the difference in the types of decks, and I'll also share a little bit with you on why these decks are used for Cardistry and why they're used for magic. So I'll first show you some of the magic decks which are really good. I have got a lot, and I will not show you the ones which are limited edition because those are quite expensive, but I want you to focus more now on what decks you can use to actually perform with. So I have here, this is what we call the superior deck, okay, the superior deck, and this superior deck is really nice. It's a very nice background, and this is more of a very traditional background, right? The kind of like a lot of design kind of background. Now the superior deck, however, is one of the latest decks actually made by the Expert Playing Card Company. So you can see it's here. So even though the design is of the traditional form, it's actually very good, and people love these kind of designs because then you can make your markings, or it looks like a classic design. Now if you have playing cards with very fantastic, special and complicating designs, the issue becomes that people will wonder if your deck is a special deck. Maybe it's a gimmick deck. What you want to do when you get magic decks, and you can see the kind of magic decks, let me just show you the other one that I want to show you, okay? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and we've got a lot, okay? Like I can show you maybe like this one here, okay? So these are all, look at these decks. They are very plain, very simple, okay? Why? Because when we perform magic, we want people to focus on the cards, on the deck, on the magic. The face, the head, the eyes are very important, okay? Like example, if I was supposed to look in this direction, most people will follow my eyes and also look in this direction. When you're talking about something and you look here, many people will also follow your eyes and look here. So it's very important, instead of me just showing just my bottom part and just talking about the deck, which looks okay on camera, but once you go in real life, you realize that people react in a different way. So your eyes are very important, your head is very important. Similarly, I can be looking at you, and if I turn my head down here, most of the time people will turn here, right? And if I turn my head here and my eyes are still looking at you, you will feel like, maybe I'm not very sincere or something like that. The eyes, the head and your hands play a huge motion in a huge part in the magic that you perform. Now, so what you notice about these decks is that they have a very simple, generally simple deck design. Other magic decks are like this, simple deck design. One in front, they have of course the inscriptions at the left and right, and then at the back it looks somewhat like that, okay? So it's a very nice spade design with 2 crosses, and people can actually enjoy the design of this deck. Now by the way, this deck is a very limited deck. So what you will notice is that these decks are simple for a reason, because we want people to focus on the magic, and we don't want them to think that maybe we are using a special deck, maybe we are using a gimmick deck. This is the steel deck. Now you may be asking me what's the difference among the 3. It's all about quality, and to actually understand the quality, I'd like you to actually have your session with us, and also in future to be able to feel these decks on your own. Don't spend money to try to feel decks and then you regret, and many people are doing that, okay? They buy a lot of decks and then realize it's not good, they don't like it, and it's just terrible. But what we want to do is to let you try these cards and you actually know the kind of quality that you're getting. And all our decks are of the best quality and the best efficiency, money efficiency. What is money efficiency? It means that for $15 that you buy this deck, and say example you go to an ABC store and buy a $15 deck there, the quality of that $15 deck will last you maybe just a little while, maybe it spoils, maybe it becomes clumpy and you dislike it. Our decks are meant and known to be able to last very long. In fact, most of the decks that I use are 2 to 3 years long, and even when I tell my competitors that, many of them don't believe. They call it bullshit, okay? But it is the truth, and our buyers know that is the truth. And why is it so good? Because all our decks, every single one, is imported from the USA, from the direct companies. We do not get it from XYZ sources, we do not get them from repacked sources, we do not get them from China sources or India sources, okay? Our sources are all direct from the USA, and because of that, our products are always 100% authentic and 100% the best quality. Now this is the steel deck. This is the cheapest range of decks. The idea is that this deck is a very simple design behind. Okay, I can show pictures of this in future. and it helps people to really focus on your performance. The other thing that you want to understand is that these decks have a very nice face. Maybe it's a white face with just the pips there, and that helps people to remember the cards that you're performing. You bring up the card and say, I want you to remember this card, they can remember it's the 3 of hearts. If you use special colored decks, say example like the Virtuoso, okay, Virtuoso deck, if you use something like the Fury Knights, very nice. Look at the color design, I agree, it's very beautiful. But the cards are very beautiful too, and because of that, it becomes very hard for people to remember the value of the card, whether it's 3 hearts or 4 hearts or so, okay? Because why? They have very nice designs, very beautiful designs, but they become a bit too complex for people to remember. And when people have to keep remembering something else, they cannot focus on your magic effect, and therefore you detach the kind of like excitement that they have in whatever you're trying to perform, okay? Steel decks, we've got a barrage of colors, but I'm left with only green and yellow, and these are the best selling. I think everyone who is a magician always get one of these decks because they perform with this deck, and only when they have like huge performances, maybe family performances or so, then they get other decks like this, okay? So what is the difference between this and this? Now, the back, when you open it up, the back looks the same, okay? It's a very plain color, like this one is a plain green, this is a plain yellow, and this is plain red. The difference though is the quality, okay? And if you really want to know what is the difference in quality of cards, my best advice for you is to get these two, okay? And try them. Why? Because you'll notice that this one and this one has quite a huge quality difference. And that difference, the snappy feel of the cards, the springy feel of the springs, that will tell you the big difference between these two, okay? And when we play magic cards and the cards that we have, why I love the cards that we have is because after using for a long time, we can actually teach you how to set it back to its original state, which means that many people, they get decks from, like I said, ABC places, you know, and what happens is that these cards, when they bend, they cannot go back to the actual form. Our cards can go back to the actual form, okay? Which means you open a deck and it always feels like new to you, and that's an amazing feel. Can you imagine every day you open your deck and it is an amazing new feel? And that's the kind of feel that you want to get with your decks. You don't want clumpy cards, you don't want cards which are, you know, always bending, which are reacting in a different way. You want cards that feel really fantastic, and these are the cards that you can get from us, okay? So we've got these colors, and then we move on to other decks like this, okay? I'm over delivering. If you notice, I'm showing you many more decks that I promised to, okay? So this deck is also very good in quality, okay? Very nice snappy feel, and because the cards have a very nice snappy feel, let me try to focus on the deck, okay? When you try to count the cards, when you try to adjust the cards, when you try to hold the cards together as one, they merge together as one, okay? Which means that when you want to do color changes, or you know, because I don't know how much you know about magic, but the idea is that when you want to perform in a certain way, you realize that they are very nice to handle, and they will move in the direction that you want to move, they will flow in the direction that you want to flow, and that's why it makes your magic so enhancing and so good. Can you imagine if you go out there and many people, they perform with different kind of cards, you know, inferior quality cards. When they are holding 2 cards as one, when they're counting cards, they miscount the cards split, and there are cases where the cards bend, and then the color of the cards are different. So all these are problems that they face. And when we sell this magic, because you see, that's the difference, because we are magicians too, okay? So because we are magicians, we know exactly what kind of decks are good for magic and what are not. We are not the kind of people who are just sitting back and just saying, I think this is good for magic. These are for magicians, these are for cardies, and because we did a poll and say, which one did you like, okay? But many magicians, maybe like students also, you know, they may not know which one they like yet, you see. But for us, we are experts in this matter, and we know very well which decks you need and which decks are good for you. And for that reason, we choose the best decks for all of you, okay? Now this is the Centurion's deck. Like I said, I actually didn't want to show you all the very limited edition one. This is a really limited edition one, and it's really good, okay? Centurion's deck. So this is very rare, you can't buy it in the market anymore. Or maybe even if you can, it's online on eBay or something, and it's very hard to get these kind of things, okay? So this is a deck of cards which is really very special, can also be used to perform magic, and what's nice is that the cards are black. Now I would like to share, just like I said, one small portion on Cardistry card. This one is a company, Moranger's deck, okay? It's a company that actually makes cards for cardies as well as magician, okay? So it's 2-in-1 kind of thing, and they have 2 kinds of Morangers. So this one has a gold seal, you can see, and this one doesn't have. Okay, the one that doesn't have is what we call the aqua finish. Aqua finish is a very special finish that is used on one of the highest and most expensive sold cards recently among the average level, okay? And it's got the absolute vodka deck. Those decks are expensive, and this uses the finish from those decks, okay? So that's why this is very special. And this is the same deck quality and everything feels the same, but the finish is different. So people like to get both just to try, just to understand the kind of different finish. One is an aqua finish and one is a absolute vodka finish. I just realized I said something wrongly. The one without the gold line is the absolute vodka finish, okay? And the one with the gold line is the aqua finish. So Cardistry decks, we have decks like this is good for Cardistry. We have decks like these, the Virtuoso decks, and like I said, the Moranges deck. But the Moranges deck, now the reason is because Cardistry decks, we want them to be slightly more, actually it depends on the Cardistry that you want to do, right? But for some of them, they want to like do block cuts. Block cuts means like, you know, you have like 3 stacks and then you want to move them around. And when you want to do block cuts, you want your cuts to actually stick together. You don't want it to be too flowing, you don't want them to actually just fall off your hands as and when you move your hands, okay, your fingers. And that's why you want cuts that are, sometimes you want cuts which are more sticky, and sometimes you want to do things like okay, even like fans, doing big fans, you want it to be sticky, but sometimes you want the cuts to actually flow, you want them to separate, maybe you want to do a riffle or so. And then when you meet that kind of effects that you want to do in Cardistry, then you will want cuts like the Virtuoso, which is able to spread very nicely, which has a very nice flow. The best way that I can personally describe this is that sticky cuts feel like butter cuts, which means that it's very smooth, but it's like buttery smooth, so it slides and you feel like there's something that's sticking the cuts together. The other kind of cuts which are non-sticky are cuts that actually just flow very easily, and if you don't feel like there's something that sticks them, okay, it just slides across very smoothly. So these are the types of cuts, and Cardistry cuts, like I explained to you, are also cuts where you will find that the cuts have faces which are very colorful, which are very hard to remember because of the very nice designs. They're nice because you want to have very nice designs when you're doing Cardistry, like, you know, when you move the cards, you can see different cards, different designs here and there, different flows, but they are not nice or not good for Magic. So with that, I'm gonna end this video. I hope you had a great time with me, and I would like to hear from you what cards I've shown you today that you really like. I'll just show you again. This is Moranges deck, there's the Aqua and the Absolute Vodka finish, there's the Centurion's deck, the very rare one, and we also have the Steel deck, which are in yellow, green, and the Pure deck. This is NOC Pure. This is really good. I didn't know, I thought it was similar. I tried it and I absolutely love this deck. I showed you this deck here, which is the Knight deck, right? The Fury Knight. Okay, this is in the cards inside there are really nice in design. Okay, not for Magic, but for design, really beautiful. Alright, and we have many other decks like this deck too. This is also the Superior deck. It's really good for Magic. Alright, so that's all I have for you today. I'd like to know from you, also very personally, what kind of videos you like to watch and what are the things that you really love to learn, and we will definitely get that to you. Alright, with that, remember to catch our vlogs, and I'll see you next time. Okay, stay cool, stay awesome, and be your best always. Bye.